Today, we're diving into what could be the future of pharmacy care, looking at a really innovative ePharmacy model coming out of Ghana. But this isn't just about cool new tech. It's about a massive shift in how we protect our patients, our practices, and frankly, our licenses in this digital world. And it all boils down to one thing: documentation.
Now, to really get why this solution is so important, we have to start with the problem. And this quote from Dr. Adu Ralph, the Registrar of Ghana's Pharmacy Council, just hits the nail on the head. See, it's not enough to just have pharmacies around. The real struggle is connecting people with the specific medicine they need right when they need it. So how do we fix that gap?
All right, so let's dig into this access challenge. It's all about trying to bridge these gaps in pharmaceutical care that you see not just in Ghana, but really all across the continent and, well, everywhere.
When you break it down, you're looking at three main problems. First off, pharmacies aren't always located where the people are, leaving huge groups of people underserved. Second, even if you're in a big city with pharmacies on every corner, trying to find one specific medication can feel like a wild goose chase. And third, and this is a really dangerous one, you've got the rise of these unregulated online sellers. This opens up a huge risk of counterfeit or just plain unapproved drugs getting to patients. It's a massive safety issue.
Okay, so with all those challenges on the table, what's the answer? Well, Ghana has come up with a really smart digital solution, the National Electronic Pharmacy Platform, or as they call it, the NEPP. Let's take a look at how this thing works.
So what exactly is the NEP? Well, the key thing to understand is that it's a single centralized platform, and it's authorized and monitored by the Pharmacy Council itself. So this isn't some random startup app, it's official digital infrastructure. The whole point is to bring transparency and accountability to online pharmacy services, making sure public safety is the #1 priority, period.
So for a patient, how does it work? It's actually designed to be super simple, but also incredibly safe. You register, you upload your prescription, and then, and this is important, a real registered pharmacist verifies everything. Now this next step is absolutely crucial. That pharmacist provides mandatory counseling over the phone. You get that human interaction. Only after that happens does the medicine get packed up and delivered by a licensed courier. It's a completely closed-loop system, built around professional oversight.
And that's the whole idea, right? The goal isn't to get rid of your local community pharmacy. Not at all. It's about building a secure digital bridge that connects patients directly to the existing network of licensed, regulated pharmacies. It closes that information gap and helps professional pharmaceutical care reach way beyond a physical front door.
Okay, let's switch gears for a second. For all you superintendent pharmacists and pharmacy owners out there, this next part is especially for you. What does it actually mean to operate inside this new digital framework? What are the rules of the road?
Well, as you'd expect, the requirements are really strict, and for good reason. You have to be a licensed pharmacy in good standing. You've got to comply with data protection laws, and notice the digital rules. All of your transaction documentation has to be electronic, and every single order has to go through the platform. You combine that with regular inspections and that mandatory counseling, and you build a system that patients can trust, something unregulated sellers just can't compete with.
Now this right here is the true game changer. Every single action, from the second a prescription is uploaded to the moment it's delivered, is tracked, recorded, and stored. What you end up with is a perfect, complete digital trail for every single patient interaction. And that one fact, well, it changes everything when it comes to professional accountability.
Which brings us right to the heart of our discussion today, the documentation imperative. Because in a world where every click and every call creates a permanent record, your documentation is no longer just a task. It becomes your single greatest defense.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. This quote from an HOSPO report says it all. When something goes wrong, or even if someone just claims something went wrong, the very first thing that lawyers, regulators, and investigators are going to ask for is the record. Your documentation is proof of the care you provided.
Let's make this real for a second. Look at these two cases. On the left, a pharmacist was facing a wrongful death allegation, a truly career-ending charge. But because they had carefully documented their medication review and the counseling they gave, the case was so weak the whole lawsuit was dropped. Now, on the right, a different pharmacist got hit with license probation and a fine for fraud. Why? Because they created records for consultations that never actually happened. The outcomes couldn't be more different, and the deciding factor in both, the quality of the documentation. Now, this slide is really interesting. At first glance, you might see documentation as that tiny 3.6% slice and think, oh, it's not a big deal. But that is so misleading. See, bad documentation is the silent partner in almost every other allegation. A claim about professional misconduct or a medication error, it becomes almost impossible to defend if you can't show a clear record of your verification, your calls to the prescriber, and your patient counseling. It is the absolute foundation of your defense.
So, knowing all that, how do we make sure our documentation is rock solid? Let's get practical. We're going to walk through some best practices that are essential anywhere, but are absolutely non-negotiable in a digital-first world.
Think of this as your daily playbook. Document every important conversation. Don't just tick a box that says counseling offered. Make a note that it was provided and that the patient confirmed they understood. And this one's huge. If a patient refuses counseling, you must document that refusal. Note down every call to a doctor, every lab result you check, even when a pill looks a little different from a new supplier. This isn't just busy work. This is the story of the professional care you're providing.
And so this all leads to one final, crucial question you have to ask yourself. As pharmacy practice keeps evolving with platforms like the NAPP creating this permanent digital trail, are your daily habits ready for that? Is your documentation really ready to be your best and maybe even your only defense?
Because at the end of the day, in the eyes of the law, your counsel and your patients, the rule has never been more relevant. If it wasn't documented, it wasn't done.